Good morning, everyone. It's Monday, August 23rd. From the San Antonio Express News, my name is Luis Vasquez, and this is your Express Briefing. All of the stories you need to know to start your day. You can expect sunny skies and a high of about 97 in San Antonio today. Governor Greg Abbott on Sunday declared a state of disaster in 23 counties, including Harris and Bexar, as Texas prepares for a pair of tropical storms headed towards the Gulf Coast. Tropical storm Marco intensified to a hurricane on Sunday, gaining strength over the Gulf of Mexico as tropical storm Laura moved towards Cuba. We have what you can expect as Marco and Laura hit the Gulf, as well as what would happen if the two storms met in the Gulf of Mexico, at the links in the episode's description. We'll also continue to keep you posted as the situation unfolds. And now let's move on to the top stories for the day. Monday Night Football, Tuesday Night Lights, Bubble Ball, sold-out half-full stadiums. Those are among the ways Texas high school football will be launched during the pandemic. None of it is ideal, but it's necessary if the 100th season of the UIL football is going to exist. The season is set to start on Thursday for UIL classes 4A and below. David Hinojosa provides a look back at how we got here and how one of Texas's most celebrated traditions will look different this fall. President Donald Trump has said mailed ballots are so vulnerable to fraud that their widespread use could cost him the election, a claim that's widely disputed. Old soldiers like retired Army Lieutenant General Ricardo Sanchez, who led coalition forces occupying Iraq for a year after the 2003 invasion, takes a dim view of Trump's efforts to delegitimize the way GIs have long cast ballots. In some deployments to such places as Saudi Arabia during Operations Desert Shield and Desert Storm, and later in Kosovo and Iraq, he said he watched commanders who considered it a sacred duty, not a right, but a duty, to ensure that all of our people had the opportunity to vote. Sig Christensen offers a closer look at American troops using mail-in ballots, a practice that dates back all the way to the Civil War. When her daughter's toes and fingers started turning blue, San Juana Rios knew it was time for drastic action. On August 6, Michaela was admitted to Methodist Children's Hospital at the medical center. She tested positive for the virus and would undergo treatment for 11 days. Her experience was unusual in that most children with COVID-19 don't wind up in the hospital with such severe symptoms, and for that long. Still, Michaela had joined the growing ranks of children infected by the virus, sometimes unknowingly. Health experts are confident that children, as a rule, don't contract the virus as readily as adults. When they do, they don't get as sick. Many don't show symptoms at all. But how much do teens and children spread the disease? And what about the long-term effects of the virus on younger people? Melissa Fletcher-Stolce explains the issue of kids with COVID-19 in her latest article. Gilbert Garcia writes, quote, "Every national political convention of the TV age has been an elaborate 4-day infomercial. But this year, with the actual physical gathering removed from the equation, it was harder to disguise the DNC as a meeting where real political business gets done. For the most part, Democrats use the artificiality of the virtual convention format to their advantage, with a slickly produced succession of intimate promotional clips that didn't have to bother with the pretense of entertaining a restless arena crowd." Larry Romo, a San Antonio native, Air Force veteran, and director of the Selective Service System during the Barack Obama-Joe Biden administration, settled for watching a virtual Democratic National Convention from the distant comfort of his home. Read his thoughts on the proceeding in Garcia's latest column. To keep our readers up to date on the path of COVID-19, the Express News has built a dashboard of interactive graphics showing the spread of the virus in the San Antonio area, in Texas as a whole, and across the United States. We've also created an interactive map of San Antonio for COVID-19 testing sites that don't require a doctor's referral. You can find a link to the dashboard and the interactive map in this episode's description. Next up are your need-to-know headlines. You can find all of these headlines and more inside your Express News subscription. The downward trend in the spread of the coronavirus continues as the number of patients with COVID-19 in San Antonio hospitals has dropped for the 7th day in a row. Metro Health reported 99 new cases of COVID-19 on Sunday and 9 new deaths. A 54-year-old man apparently shot himself to death Saturday night in Pleasanton after an hours-long standoff with law enforcement, Pleasanton police said. 4 years before he was fired for using a knee restraint on a suspect's neck, San Antonio police officer Michael Brewer was involved in the death of a 41-year-old man who police said was having a mental health crisis. Texas have found themselves in the middle of some serious drama in Republican national conventions in past years. You can find a look back at memorable moments involving future President George H.W. Bush, U.S. Senator Ted Cruz, and more at the link in the episode's description. Rackspace Technology Incorporated alleges that a now former employee threatened to go to the media with concerns about its business practices if it didn't pay him severance. Postal workers who allegedly moved large piles of undelivered mail from the main San Antonio post office before a planned visit by Representative Joaquin Castro might have broken a federal law against tampering with the mail, the congressman said. SeaWorld and Six Flags Fiesta Texas, San Antonio's major amusement parks, are in some ways alternate realities in this pandemic summer. They are open for business with smaller crowds and questions about safety. The coronavirus can't keep the Alamo closed forever, even if the future of an ambitious expansion plan for the site appears increasingly uncertain. The grounds of the mission and battle site, including public restrooms, are now open daily. President Donald Trump's campaign is convinced they have reason to be confident he'll carry Texas again, despite polls showing an abnormally close contest. They point to legions of volunteers and training programs that simply weren't in place 4 years ago. Governor Greg Abbott on Sunday said the state's current coronavirus statistics are far more accurate than they were over the past several months, as the state has nearly finished documenting more than 850,000 backlog tests that have skewed a key indicator of the severity of the outbreak in Texas. The grandson of Mexican immigrants who settled in Texas, Raymond Chapa ended up with an anglicized last name but kept his passionate Latino heart. He was 6 credits away from getting a bachelor's degree at UTSA when he died after being hospitalized with COVID-19. Texas retailers must upgrade to survive the coronavirus, writes Chris Tomlinson, adding, consumers will shop online long after there's a vaccine. Sports columnist Mike Finger writes, quote, the sports fallout from this will be personal in some cases and far-reaching in others, and even our sense of normalcy figures to be altered for years to come. A mysterious picnic table with Alamo motif may have once been at San Antonio's Brackenridge Park. This unique piece of outdoor furniture has become a kind of celebrity. Everybody loves it, but nobody knows it. Paul Allen takes a closer look in this week's San Antonio History column. When students return to Nora Forrester Elementary School in person after Labor Day, if the coronavirus pandemic continues its downward spiral, they will be greeted by their lively librarian who brings her pet lizard to school and a cheerful principal and vice principal eager to lead their young charges on a new adventure. That might be expected at a school where the mascot is a fire-breathing dragon named Blaze. The kids start school today, virtually, but more than a few teachers can't wait to be able to be with them in class again. Living green has become a way of life. Raising the thermostat in the summer, lowering it in the winter. Recycling, turning off lights, and installing low-flow shower heads. Whenever you can, you try to live a little greener. How about taking that next step and planting a green wall? Green walls covered with plants can have mood-boosting, stress-reducing health benefits. Pizza Classics has been a San Antonio institution since 1986 and has a history that many locals might not be aware of. Their pepperoni pizzas receive high marks in our 52 Weeks of Pizza series. From snack food to kitchen tools to fresh produce and beyond, we have 6 things to put on your grocery list from Asia's supermarket in Windcrest if you're in the mood for a culinary outing with international appeal. With games starting this week, we have a list of local players to watch in Sub 5A and private school classifications. The Spurs will have the 11th pick in the 2020 NBA draft. We have a brief and recent history of players taken at that spot. Bulverde native Zach Williams is a standout in the Berkshire Theatre Group's Godspell, the first live musical since the coronavirus hit. And that's all for today. This was your Express Briefing. My name is Luis Vasquez. Please consider becoming an Express News subscriber to get in-depth coverage on all of the stories you heard today. Also, be sure to rate and review this podcast inside your Apple Podcasts app, as it really helps the show. Have a wonderful day, everyone.